I used to believe in fairy tales, the kind where love lasts forever, where trust is unbreakable, and where family means everything. That's what my marriage with David felt like the beginning of a beautiful story I never wanted to end. We met in college, back when life seemed simpler. David was charming, funny, and somehow he made me feel like the most important person in the world. Our friends called us the perfect couple. My sister Maya loved him too. She was practically part of our little love story. For years, we built a life together, brick by brick. Late night talks, weekend barbecues, family holidays, everything felt real, honest, and safe. I was lucky. I had a husband who said he loved me, a sister who was my best friend, and a future I dreamed of. But sometimes, the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. It started with little things, the phone buzzing late at night when David said he was asleep. The whispered text that he quickly hid when I walked into the room. The cold distance that crept in between us like an invisible wall. I told myself I was imagining things, that maybe work was stressful, that maybe Maya was just going through her own problems. But deep down, my heart screamed that something was wrong. One evening, I noticed a message on David's phone screen, just a glimpse, but enough. It said, "I miss your laugh." The name attached was Maya. My world cracked open. I didn't want to believe it. Not Maya, not my sister, not my husband. But the truth has a way of finding you, no matter how much you try to hide from it. For days, I watched them, their secret calls, the stolen glances when they thought I wasn't looking. Every lie David told was like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. And Maya ... She looked at me with eyes full of guilt, but never once said she was sorry. One night, I confronted David, my voice barely a whisper, but my pain loud enough to fill the room. "Why?" I asked. He looked away. I never meant for it to happen, but it did. And everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and family was shattered. I remember sitting in my car outside the house, the engine running, tears staining my face. The radio played some old love song I used to love. Now it felt like a cruel joke. I didn't go back inside that night. I drove around the city until the sun rose, trying to remember who I was before all this. Before the betrayal, before my heart was broken by the two people I loved most. The next morning, I walked in with a new kind of strength. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I looked at David and Maya and said one sentence: "You chose each other. Now live with it." Then I packed my bags, but I wasn't done. I wanted the truth to come out not just to them, but to everyone who ever believed our life was perfect. I wanted people to see the cracks behind the smiles, the betrayal behind the family photos, so I began documenting everything. Every message, every photo, every timeline. I wasn't going to be the victim in their love story. I was going to be the ending. Moving out wasn't the hard part. Staying silent was. I moved into a small studio apartment downtown, tiny, but mine. I slept on a mattress on the floor and ate instant noodles for dinner, but for the first time in months, I wasn't surrounded by lies. But healing, that didn't come easy. It came with bitter tears, endless questions, and a need for justice that refused to die. At first, I thought about disappearing, blocking them both, starting over. But then I realized, why should I be the one to walk away in silence? They broke me. They shattered something sacred. They deserved to face the truth out loud, so I started collecting evidence. Screenshots of messages, phone logs, timelines. Every piece of proof that showed just how deep the betrayal ran. I didn't just want revenge, I wanted clarity. I wanted the world to see that what they did wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. A conscious, selfish, heartless choice. One night, I created a private blog. I called it The Real Story. It was anonymous at first, no names, just initials. But the details, they were unmistakable. I posted our love story, the moments that shattered it, the lies, the text messages. All of it, within days, the blog started gaining traction. People messaged me, strangers thanked me for being brave. Others shared their own betrayals. I wasn't alone, and neither were they. Then I did something bigger. I posted a photo one of David and Maya together, taken the weekend I found out. A perfect shot of their betrayal masked as a family dinner. I didn't need to caption it. The timing spoke for itself. The post went viral. People guessed, people knew. My inbox filled with messages from mutual friends, old classmates, even coworkers. Is this about David and Maya? They asked. I didn't confirm or deny. I didn't need to. A week later, Maya called me. She was crying. How could you do this? She whispered. I stayed silent. You've ruined our lives. I finally spoke. You ruined mine first. Then I hung up. David tried to. Texted, called, left voicemails apologizing, begging to talk. He even showed up at my apartment once. I didn't answer the door. This was their mess now. And I was done cleaning up after them. But revenge is a strange thing. It gives you power but not peace. Every night I lay awake wondering if I had gone too far. Was I any better than them? Did exposing their affair make me strong or just bitter? Then, one day, I got an email from a woman I didn't know. She wrote, I read your story. I left my cheating fiancé yesterday. Thank you for giving me courage. And just like that, I understood. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about truth. About helping others find their voice. And in that moment, I finally felt free. The silence after the storm is the loudest. That's what they never tell you. After the chaos, after the big reveal, there's this haunting quiet that settles over your life like dust on shattered glass. I was free from David and Maya, or at least I had physically removed them from my space. But in my mind, they lingered like ghosts. Every time my phone buzzed, a part of me braced for more drama. Another message, another accusation, another plea for forgiveness. I deleted David's number, but I still remembered it. I blocked Maya, but her name was carved so deep into my memories it felt like a scar. Even in my dreams, their betrayal played on loop, smiles hiding secrets, hands brushing to long at family dinners, lies tucked between laughter. One morning, I woke up and realized I couldn't remember the last time I laughed truly, wholeheartedly. That scared me more than anything. I needed to rebuild. Not just my apartment, or my career, or my reputation, but myself. So I made a list, a real, pen and paper kind of list. At the top, who was I before them? Not someone's wife. Not someone's sister, just ... me. And slowly, I began to find her again. I signed up for a local art class. I started running in the mornings, even when it was freezing cold and my lungs burned with every breath. I dyed my hair. I changed my style. I stopped ordering to coffees out of habit. For the first time in years, I was my own person again. And it felt terrifyingly beautiful. But the past has a way of trying to pull you back. A friend from college messaged me, "You won't believe this, David and Maya are over." I blinked at the screen. Apparently, after the fallout, their relationship became a ticking time bomb. Trust, once broken, doesn't rebuild on guilt and whispers. People around them knew, judged, whispered. Maya moved out. David quit his job, and according to my source, they were barely speaking. I wish I could say I felt triumphant, but I didn't. I just felt tired. One evening, I found myself sitting on the apartment balcony with a glass of wine and a box of old photos. Me and David in Paris, me and Maya on the beach, us before the lies. I didn't cry. I just let the memories wash over me like waves, knowing I could let them come and go now. They didn't own me anymore. Then, tucked behind an old birthday card, I found something else. A letter, written by me years ago. A letter I had written to my future self back when I believed in forever. No matter what happens, it read, "I hope you never lose your kindness, your courage, your fire." I smiled. Because somehow I hadn't. A week later, I wrote a final post on the Real Story blog. I never expected this chapter of my life. But I don't regret telling the truth, not for revenge, not for attention, but because every woman deserves to know that silence is not her only option. Betrayal breaks, but it also reveals. And now that I've seen the truth, I can finally walk away from it. That post was shared thousands of times. And then I deleted the blog because the story was over, and it was time to begin a new one. It had been 3 months since I posted the last update on the Real Story blog. I hadn't written anything since then, not online, not in my journal, not even grocery lists. It wasn't writer's block. It was emotional exhaustion. I was finally stepping out of the fog, but I didn't yet have the words to describe the landscape I was walking into until I saw them. It was a random Sunday. I had just finished brunch with a friend someone knew, someone who didn't know the ghost of my past, and we were walking back through the city square. That's when I saw David and Maya. They were sitting on a bench. Not holding hands, not smiling, just sitting. The tension between them was thick even from across the street. David looked older, tired, worn in a way that couldn't be fixed with sleep. Maya was staring into the distance, face blank. I stopped walking. My friend noticed. "You okay?" I nodded, lying, "Yeah, just remembered something." But what I really felt was clarity. Later that night, I sat down at my desk. I stared at a blank page for what felt like forever. Then, slowly, the words came. Sometimes we think revenge will fix the hurt. But the truth is, healing begins when we no longer need it. That sentence became my new mantra. A few weeks later, I got an invitation. It was from the editor of a small but reputable online magazine. They had read my blog before I deleted it. They wanted to feature my story. Not the gossip, the growth. I said yes. I rewrote everything from the beginning. But this time, it wasn't a tale of betrayal. It was a journey about strength, voice, resilience. About how sometimes you burn everything down not to hurt others, but to finally feel the warmth of your own fire. The article went live and reached thousands. Women wrote to me, men too. People who had been lied to, broken, manipulated. They all said the same thing. "Thank you for making me feel seen." One morning, I received an email with the subject line, "I'm sorry." It was from Maya. I didn't open it right away. I wasn't even sure if I should, but curiosity is a funny thing. Later that evening, I clicked it open. It wasn't long, just a few lines. "I know I can never undo what I did, but I'm trying to be better. I hope someday you'll believe that. I hope you're okay. No excuses, no justification, just something like remorse." I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, but because I didn't need to anymore. A few days later, I ran into David at a bookstore. Pure accident. We both reached for the same copy of a memoir. Funny how the universe works. He froze. Hey, I said back. He looked awkward, searching for something to say. Finally, "You look good. Thanks." A pause. Then, "I read your article." I nodded. "A lot of people did." Another beat. "You were right to leave." I smiled. A real one. I know, we didn't hug. We didn't cry. We didn't promise to stay in touch. We just walked away. That night, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because I saw the people who hurt me fall apart, but because I had stood tall. I survived the storm. And now, I was learning how to dance in the sunlight. 6 months later, I moved to a new city. Not because I was running, but because I was ready to begin. Really begin. The kind of life where I wasn't defined by what happened to me or what I'd done in response. I chose a small apartment above a bookstore with windows that opened to the sound of street musicians and the smell of fresh bread from the bakery downstairs. I didn't know a single soul here. And that was exactly the point. I started teaching creative writing part-time at a local community center. It wasn't glamorous, and it didn't pay much, But every time someone shared their story nervously, vulnerably, I felt something mend inside me. Like we were all stitching a quilt of survival, word by word, line by line. There was a teenage girl named Amber who wrote poetry about hiding scars behind eyeliner. A retired nurse named Evelyn who had kept a secret love for writing buried for 40 years. And a single dad named Marcus who wrote bedtime stories for his daughter and shared them with our group as if we were all children in need of fairy tales. They didn't know my whole story. Only that I was someone who listened without judgment, and that was enough. One evening after class, I stayed back to clean up. Marcus lingered too. He picked up a half-empty coffee cup and smiled shyly. "Your edits on my story helped more than you know," he said. I shrugged. "You did the work." He hesitated. "Have you ever thought about publishing your own book?" I laughed. "Once or twice. Well, I'd read it." The way he said it genuine reminded me of how Liam once made me feel. But this time, I didn't feel small or desperate. I felt seen for who I was now. Not who I had pretended to be, or who I had been when I was breaking. Just me. That night, I sat on my balcony and looked at the stars. Not for answers, but for gratitude. I had been the villain in someone else's story. I had been the victim in mine. And now, maybe I could be the hero in a new one. Months passed, I kept teaching. I started writing again, not blogs, not rants, but chapters, fiction, stories about broken people doing beautiful things, not perfect stories, but honest ones. The small online magazine that published my article offered me a monthly column. I called it Notes from the Other Side. It wasn't about revenge or confession anymore, it was about life after. After betrayal, after pain, after pretending. One day, I opened my inbox to find a message from a literary agent. "Have you ever thought about writing a memoir?" I smiled. "Maybe someday. But for now, I'm just living it."